Let me check.
That's interesting.
New word. That was her new word. The consensus word. What was it?
The consensus. That's a new one. Okay.
The other day, she had another new word that she hammered 3 times in one sentence or paragraph. Get that?
Well, the consensus one. I mean, Bill. Is that his name? Bill Whitaker. I mean, this guy needs to be hected by Obama. We were just talking about before the show. I mean, he's not buying it, Bill Whitaker, but he will do a good job. And then I guess Trump must be listening to the show because of the editing of Bill Whitaker by CBS, cutting out that massive word salad that she put down about the Middle East. Has no fault of Bill Whitaker's. They did this the next day on Monday after the show, right before the show was out. They completely edited her thing. And now Trump, which is what I've been hammering on the show for over a year, is threatening the suspension of CBS's license by the FCC if this continues, which is what I've been saying. A 30-day suspension for one of these networks will blow their living heads off. And today or yesterday, Trump suggested that for the first time.
Yes, totally.
You and I have discussed this, Eric. I mean, we've talked about this a number of times on this show, and many of the conservative viewers who don't think anything can work feel that can't work. But apparently Trump does think it could work, and so do I.
Well, I think that, okay, first off, the most amazing part about it was the cell phone. I mean, it literally was an unforced error on the part of CBS. They put out her wandering, crazy-ass, meandering message in the promo for that. Yeah. And then they not only tightened up the answer, they took the answer from an earlier part of the interview and injected it there.
Well, I suggest you're right, because they were in a hurry.
Yeah, and I'm guessing the two departments don't talk to each other, but thank God for that, right? Because it revealed their hand, exactly what they're doing.
Well, this cat who was on with Takashi Coates the other day.
Ta-Nehisi Coates,
the guy who was on with Takashi Coates, he now has to go before, what's the guy's name?
Ta-Nehisi.
Ta-Nehisi? Who the hell is Ta-Nehisi? Anyway, the cat's name is Coates. His real name is Jeff Brown.
Probably.
But you want to call him by his Nairobi name. Anyway, so this cat Coates was confronted by the morning show guy with Gayle King, whoever the morning show guy is there. Apparently his wife works at MSNBC, for Christ's sakes, and called him out about his anti-Israel stance. He now has been lectured about his tone. He has to go before the board, the Comintern of political inquiry at CBS now.
Oh, yeah. His career's actually at risk right now.
Absolutely.
The owners are involved. Everybody's
everybody's involved.
How dare you do your job? And all he did was say, well, wait a minute, your book is all one direction. And Coates admitted it. He said, yeah,
that's right.
One viewpoint. And so the guy's like, well, what about? It's so shocking when they
they now said that all questions must go before the board of inquiry before they're asked by any CBS journalist. Now they now have to go before the African American Committee on Tonality based in Chicago, Illinois, and they will approve the questions because that's how vulnerable they are to tough questions. I mean, they just can't handle it, so it has to be done by the Comintern.
Calling Chairman Mao.
Telephone from Mao.
Wow. Well, after that 60 minutes interview, whatever you want to call that train wreck, Kamala was too busy to actually deal with the October 7th anniversary. Do anything about Milton because she had to go. She had to get her pictures taken for Vogue.
This is either the most, they must feel either so confident on winning or they must be the most tone-deaf campaign in the history of American presidential politics. I don't think it could be both. It's either one or the other, Eric.
Yeah. It could be. It could be either. I mean, but
Yeah.
I'm just.
I mean, it's really extraordinary the amount. I mean, this situation with Univision last night down in Mexico or wherever she went to do this Univision
Oh, yeah.
telecast with the teleprompter. Wow. Say hello to my new little friend down there in Univision land. I mean, putting the questions and answers up on the teleprompter for her in a town hall. Now, Trump has agreed to do a town hall with what's her name from Fox, the black chick from New Orleans. So he's going to do one October 16th or something. I doubt there's going to be questions and answers on his teleprompter, Eric.
Oh, no, God, no. I mean, at a town hall, it's supposed to quite literally be dynamic from what I understand, but more on that here. Hold on.
Do you have a shot of the teleprompter? Because they turned it off quickly.
I think I do, but let me share this because this is a continuation of the same exact story. Yeah. Jeremy Hambley from the Quartering was covering this, and he actually caught something else happening. So watch, while this is playing, watch the black female behind this blonde on the right.
Okay.
And listen to Kamala, so watch her lips on the right and what Kamala is saying on the left.
The tax deduction
I want you to
right now
watch
is
this.
$5,000.
I want you to watch this. This
$50,000.
This black woman right
Knowing
here.
what that will mean to
Okay.
tap into the ambition and the aspirations that people have, knowing that unlike my opponent who got handed $400 million on a silver tray and filed for bankruptcy 6 times.
That black woman right there said the exact quote there.
That bankruptcy 6 times.
What is that about?
That woman wrote exactly what she's saying, or how was this woman so psychic that she knew exactly what Kamala Harris was going to say?
She wrote it. Maybe she's reading it off the teleprompter too. I mean, maybe.
Well, that was the question. But why would an audience member be seeing a teleprompter? Because the presenter is facing the audience. And
I don't know where. I'd have to see the body where they all are sitting there, because they were standing up at one point. There were people standing. It was a small audience. First of all, it was only a handful of people, and they were up on the rafters. If I saw it yesterday, they were just standing up and questioning. Some guy said, I never got an explanation of how you replaced Joe Biden. And she said, thank you for the intriguing question, or insight. Like she said, thank you for the, extremely intriguing question. And then she went on to bullshit the guy for about 5 minutes of how she got the nomination.
Oh, well, that's pretty much what she does. Okay, so this is, but I thought that was very interesting.
What is this? A hypnotic thing in her hand from some MK Ultra program?
It might be over her shoulder. I don't know.
No, I know.
It does look like
it's like, look at this. Look
like
at this distraction.
Daisy.
Woo, woo, woo.
It's a dandelion, a lit dandelion.
Whoa, I can't look at that anymore, Eric. I'm starting to get woozy.
Oh, well, it's going to get worse.
Voting for Kamala.
Are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? The only question I ever ask is, are you okay?
Okay, so watch in the middle. You see the teleprompter.
Yeah.
You see the text on it.
Yeah.
And sadly, we have seen over the last 2 weeks since Hurricane Helene.
Oh,
the camera saw it. Oh,
no. Get it off.
You kill the teleprompter. Kill it.
Wow. Man, they have been caught doing so many shameless things in this site to no avail. I mean, they never apologize. They never surrender. They never say anything about anything.
No, because they never really have to. Yeah. They don't have to account for what they're doing. And I mean, isn't that convenient? Don't we wish we had that capability? We could just say whatever we want, and then what do you tell? No, I either just lie and say that they didn't say it, or say, oh, that's old news, or we're talking about the future. We will only be unburdened by our past comments.
That's funny. They're now calling this thing Trumpchella, by the way, on tomorrow out here in the Coachella Valley, where Trump is coming. And there's going to be a lot of people coming from Nevada and Arizona, as you're well aware, because it is out in Riverside. The mayor of Coachella said, who invited him? Nobody wants him out here except 100,000 people. And the Republican congressman who he's coming out to support, Eric, who's a couple of points ahead, and he wants to drive home that this guy's going to win this race out in Riverside. One of the main reasons he's coming out is for local candidates. And there's one out there in particular that Trump is supporting to make sure he gets over the finish line, Eric.
That's really good news.
Yeah.
Because that implies to me that he feels he has the luxury to be able to help down the ticket.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, yeah. So he could leave Pennsylvania for a day or leave that area for a day and do a rally.
Yeah. It's Ken Calvert. Ken Calvert's the cat's name. But it's funny because the mayor of Coachella said, nobody wants him out here. We disagree with everything he stands for. He's anti-immigration, the usual claptrap. And he's just the mayor of Coachella. It's kind of funny that he would say this, the day before a massive Trump rally.
Of course. But I mean, that's that same arrogance. I don't know how many Republicans say we, and they're speaking for the people like leftists do. I mean, leftists literally think in their mind, it's like I speak for everyone.
Well, how about when they talk about abortion and they talk about women and 50% of the women who are Republicans don't agree with them on abortion, and they just say all women. They do that all the time, using women as all women. It's absurd. By the way, Latinos for Biden in California, which is another reason he's coming out here. Biden got 75% to 23% versus Trump last election in California. Right now, it's a 54-35% split, Eric, between Trump and Harris in California, which is another reason he's driving a stake into our vampire heart out here in California. So he's like I said last week, I think he feels confident enough in the battleground state polling where for the first time, even with the RCP averages, he's leading in all 7 battleground states. It's the first time they've admitted that numerically. And I think he feels confident enough to come to Coachella in California and then come to Madison Square Garden, where in 1962, Marilyn Monroe famously popped out of a cake singing happy birthday for JFK. So we've got these 2 blue state events on the eve of an election where either he is completely blind to how an election works or he's completely confident in how an election works. And I'm going to choose the latter of the 2.
I think so. I think he's going for the popular vote now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that we've talked about on here. I know I brought it up because that would be a mandate. And if he can get it, and obviously he won't win California, and it's very
no. Right, of course not. It's not electoral.
Down and get the popular up, and that'll be sweet.
I mean, to pull in an extra 2 to 3 to 4% of the popular vote may put him over the top, Eric.
Oh, I think it absolutely
nationally. Now, keep in mind, Governor Tim China Waltz, when everybody's talking about the weeds of this election, he's talking about the elimination of the Electoral College and changing the Constitution on day one. I mean, but why bring that up? I mean, it doesn't make any political sense to all of a sudden say we're going to alter the Constitution and change the country forever if you vote for us, and people are going, what?
I don't know, but it just cracks me up too, because I don't want them to ever win, but there's a part of me that's just laughing, going, okay, so if they squeak by and win by an electoral vote one time, are they going to shut up? Because they've been saying that for 20 years now.
Well, it's the same thing with the Supreme Court. When the votes start going against them, they talk about term limits and all these other
packing the court, and
and then it goes the other way, and they're like children. Getting back to Trumpchella for 1 second before we move on from this California story. No word whether Steve Garvey will attend Trumpchella. He's 33 points down to Adam Schiff in the polls. Just debated him this past week. Did very well in the debate. Absolutely killed him in the debate, Eric, and didn't move the needle because of his refusal to embrace Trump. And this is a statewide election. I mean, if a guy could make any inroads, it would be to go out there to Trumpchella with Trump and hug him like Sammy Davis Jr. with Nixon and beg for his endorsement. But this guy says, no, you know what? I'd rather lose and keep all the campaign money for myself, which is really what I think is going on. I think this is a scam for him to keep the campaign money and never report it afterwards.
There's actually an example of somebody doing exactly that. And look where they are now. J.D. Vance Remember, he was anti-Trump, and then he went and begged for his endorsement, completely flipped, and holy shit, now the guy's running and potentially the vice president. So Steve Garvey, memo, why don't you look at the past and what others have done?
This is the stupidest campaign I've ever seen for a Senate. Now, Adam Schiff will be there, as everyone here has been complaining, for the rest of his life on the planet Earth. He's not an old man. He will be there for decades. That being said, according to our guest who's coming on the top of the hour, the only race that we seem to be certain of is Moreno in Ohio versus Sherrod Brown in the senatorial. He's saying only one race right now. We'll ask him when he comes on, but he's saying the only one he feels certain of from what he said this afternoon. Now, getting back to Trump and his request for military planes. I don't know if you saw that this morning. He's requesting military personnel, armored personnel carriers, and military transport planes now for his security. This is an official request. It was in the Washington Post, New York Times yesterday, Eric.
Yeah, I know. I did miss that one.
Yeah, both papers covered it on the front page. The stories are that he feels unsafe and he wants military protection, which I had suggested on this show 5.5 weeks ago. Now apparently he's watched that episode, so he's calling for military transport planes, which I thought would be I would use the Musk rocket ship if I had my druthers. Use Musk to somehow get involved in his security with rocket ships, but that's a race in the future, I guess.
Well, there's always you could use Musk's robots.
Well, Musk's robots. I don't know. I would somehow bring Musk into the security part of this thing. I don't really trust the military at this point because I think they're involved in weather manipulation in North Carolina. I believe they're involved in weather manipulation down in Mexico and Acapulco. I think they're involved in weather manipulation with Operation Popeye, with the Ho Chi Minh Trail back in Vietnam days. So this targeting, they're now buying up the land, by the way, brought to my attention by insiders in North Carolina, like they did in Maui after the fire. They're buying up the land that was destroyed, that had everything on it, for 5 cents on the dollar, like they did in Maui after the fires that burned it to the ground. So this targeting and the economic attack on that area of North Carolina continues. The blocking of FEMA, this fight between Biden and Trump over aid money. I mean, she clearly said they get $750. Biden is claiming they're going to get tens of thousands of dollars on some point in another galaxy, in another planet. There's no sign of that coming. There are people in Florida still waiting for FEMA payouts from Hurricane Andrew. So the $750 looks like it's all you can eat buffet for $750, Eric. And Trump, having the president of the United States telling you to get a life when he's on life support is kind of ironically funny.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. But from what I understand, though, on the what's going on, there are 2 mines that are involved. People are questioning. One is a lithium mine,
right?
That is not started, from what I understand. But I guess, from what I understand, North Carolina has a very, very, very large lithium deposit, one of the largest in the world. And the locals were saying, "Screw you! We don't want you mining that stuff here."
Yeah.
And most of those locals have been relocated, shall we say. And then there's also a quartz mine.
I was going to say the quartz mine,
yes. Pre-existing, but they wanted to expand. Again, the locals said, no, piss off. And now they've been relocated very interestingly. So,
and the locals don't seem to stand in their way. That's the same thing that happened in Maui. That was where those Maui residences are now going to be luxury hotels. So again, if you could send hurricanes, which apparently we can do, it's fairly well documented. Doppler radar and the Weather Service is apparently in on this, as is the Pentagon. Whether the Chinese are in on it with weather balloons, I'm not sure. But sending hurricanes up into mountainous regions that have never seen a hurricane on the planet Earth is relatively new. And there's about 6 more coming, Eric, from what I saw on the Weather Channel this morning.
I don't know. Let's hope not. But while we're talking about that, we should talk about preparation.
Oh yeah, get some preparation. Good point, Gary. Good
And
point.
for that, we have today's sponsor. America, listen up. It's no coincidence that we're seeing a surge of new health crises just as critical decisions need to be made. First, a massive COVID-19 spike with 1.2 million new cases reported daily. Then the World Health Organization declares monkeypox a global health emergency. And now we're gearing up for a bird flu summit. It's clear they're setting the stage for more planned pandemics. These aren't just coincidences, they're calculated moves to keep us in fear and control. Were you prepared for the last pandemic? A shocking 48% of Americans don't have any emergency supplies ready, according to the National Center of Disaster Preparedness. We saw how the medical and pharmaceutical industries failed us last time. They left us to fend for ourselves. Do you really want to count on them again? It's time to take control. Get the Contagion Emergency Kit from the Wellness Company. It's packed with ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, Z-Pak, Tamiflu, budesonide, and nebulizer, the treatments they didn't want you to have. Forget waiting in line or struggling to find a doctor willing to prescribe these life-saving medications. Just a few clicks and this kit is at your door, ready for whatever comes next. Don't let yourself be caught off guard again. Act now and protect your family from the next pandemic. Be proactive, be prepared. Order your Contagion Emergency Kit today. Visit twc.health/Eric to get your Contagion Emergency Kit today. Use the promo code AUS at checkout to save $30. Once again, that's twc.health/Eric. Use the code AUS to claim your discount. Remember, these kits are limited and only available in the USA. All right. And you have the medical emergency kit. You have two variants on that site. This blows out your camera. It cracks me up.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Yeah. It's the blue on the thing. Yeah.
Tim Spangler, in the spirit of it, corn pox was a bad dude.
No, corn pox.
Anyway, crazy times. But as I mentioned before, maybe Elon could send one of his robots over for support for Trump. Have you seen this?
No, I have not.
Okay, this is a guy.
Who's this guy?
It's just some random YouTuber from Tesla or whatever.
Optimus. It's insane. It's even talking.
You're freaking me out, man.
Right here.
Oh, hello, John.
How are you?
That's
crazy. I'm talking to a robot. From San Jose. Probably from where you were born in Silicon Valley.
That's funny.
Yeah.
No, I live in Los Gatos.
Los Gatos. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice area.
Where do you live?
It's kind of fake, but it's creepy. I mean,
oh my God, that is totally creepy.
I'm glad it looks like a robot, though. It's like, please don't make it look too human, because that would
the human
more.
part makes it even creepier. There's one with Megan Fox that's on now on Prime, where she is a robot that comes to your house, but she looks like Megan Fox. So I tried to order it, but it was apparently a movie.
Okay. Well, and here, check this out. And apparently the damn robot even carded people.
Oh my God. It's the end of the world. Well, I mean, I interestingly enough, I saw two movies. One of them is Long Legs, which is terrible. And then the Joker movie, Joker 2. This is a really interesting case because they issued previews on a Monday. Usually a preview happens on a Friday afternoon. They started to do previews on Monday of last week. And they ran out of the theater yelling, "Soylent Green is people, Soylent Green is people." And what they meant was, and what they were screaming was, which they refused to put in their marketing, is that Joker 2 is a musical with Lady Gaga music. And nobody knew this. And they ran out, the DC comic book fans, screaming, "It's a musical," in the streets. The movie's been destroyed. It's complete. They had no choice in the marketing department. They made an executive decision not to reveal it was a musical, hoping for the best that they would at least recoup on the weekend if they could keep word of mouth to a minimum, which they couldn't. And apparently people just called every relative on the earth, yelling and screaming Soylent Green is people, or the equivalent of it, that Joker 2 is a musical. This took me by complete surprise. I talked to a producer, a friend of mine, who had produced The Unforgiven and a bunch of other top Hollywood movies, and he was crestfallen. He knew about it, and he knows a lot of people who worked on it, and he was upset that they destroyed it, and Variety, everybody calling it a flop and a bomb and everything else. And I'm going like, bro, what did you expect? I mean, that's insane.
Okay, out of every audience in the world,
yeah,
don't screw with comic book people. I mean, these guys know everything. They know every nuance of every Joker written by every artist, and then you're going to make a musical. You have to reveal it.
You have to understand the amount of gay and female executives that are running the studios. I keep saying this. They don't care about these things. They will turn World War II into a musical if they had their druthers. Their days are numbered. It's the end of the film. It's the end of the film industry. Paramount laid off 15,000 executives just last week. Civil War, the movie, I watched that last night. It's now on Max. I watched it for free. At the end of the movie, Trump is shot in the head and killed in the Oval Office, the Trump president. I was just in shock at the sheer arrogance of this movie. They're holding up his body and posing next to it like it was Saddam Hussein in the White House. I mean, holy crap! No wonder this thing bombed.
All right, our guest is here. If you want to introduce him.
Oh yeah, you know what? I just want to say something. I was listening to this guest this morning, who then said he was going to be on the show today,
awesome.
Which is thoroughly meta. And then I was texting with his wife last night about his son, who somehow got into the nail polish and put it all over his face. And I was saying how cute the boy was because he was holding him up on his own show the other day. But this kid's a little bandit, and his wife agrees. And she said that he's allowed to come on our show, not the kid, the father. And the father's got 15, 20 minutes before his wife reels him back in to deal with this kid with the face paint. So let's bring him right on. He's the people's pundit, ladies and gentlemen, out of New Jersey, out of South New Jersey, weighing in at 189. The people's pundit, a middleweight now, contender for the title of polling king of America. Let's welcome into Madison Square Garden as the opening round act to Donald Trump, the people's pundit, Rich Baris out of New Jersey, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, gentlemen, thanks for having me. And by the way, for the record, it's Sean's camera, everybody. See, I am not that white.
Oh, that's right.
Look at how, look, I'm nice, plushy red.
Yeah, you look good here. You look good here.
Oh, my goodness. The guy's killing me with that camera. I look like I'm dying.
Well, I saw your kid. I saw your kid in whiteface the other day. She showed me on a photo. Talk about whiteface kids. I mean, what's he doing over there, Rich? Getting into the nail polish.
I think he's just mimicking what he sees. We always have the talk after it happens. Look, that's for girls.
Yeah,
unacceptable.
Wow.
You know, but he really what it is he's more like a painter. I don't know if she told you, but I had a strip. I mean, it's fairly new home. I mean, we built it in the era of Trump. Yeah. The final era of Trump, and we got all the permits and everything in right before COVID. In a way, we got lucky. It was like the only house they were focused on. It's pretty new. And this kid gets up there, gets into the oil paints, and just all over the hallway.
Oh my God! And Jesus!
Oh my God! Yeah, I mean, but
how old is he? 5, Rich?
He's 5 now. He just turned 5.
Yeah, you look 5.
Super smart. He had to start school early and everything. I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing, and I think it's like an artistic thing, an artistic expression. Man, I had to fix the walls. Thank God we have hardwood. That's all I got to say.
Well, let me ask you about a couple of terms you mentioned this morning on this morning's show for the People's Pundit, which I really recommend. I really recommend the Monday show with Barnes, which is fascinating, inside the numbers for people who really want to follow this election. I strongly recommend the Monday show to our entire audience. Both shows are great, but the one with Barnes and you, Inside the Numbers, is
what are the odds?
Inside the Numbers is the solo. What are the odds?
What are the odds? I'm sorry. What are the odds on Monday?
What are the odds?
What are the odds? That's why we have you on here, to find out what the odds are. But the two terms that I love that you used this morning are bipolar polls and copium. Those two things, if you can explain bipolar polls and copium to our audience, I think it would help.
It's funny. I just did a interview with John Solomon real quick. You guys know John Solomon. Right?
Yeah, I like John Solomon.
And I said bipolar polls, and he said, I heard you say that earlier too, and he cracks up live, but he's like, but it's so true. What I mean by that, folks, is that, sometimes you just have different worlds or universes of polls. However, in this instance, what we're seeing is like the New York Times is a great example. They're bipolar. They don't make sense with each other. I'm not talking about from different pollsters. I'm talking about they're in the field at the same time, or roughly at the same time. They should not be getting these crazy results. And that, I think, the New York Times is giving them copium, their readers copium. What do I mean? So the Siena College is their pollster. They work with the New York Times. They have been polling New York and, the Mid-Atlantic and some of the New England states. That's what they do. And they've been polling other states, but they've been polling New York for years, gentlemen, years. All right. And they understated Trump's support in both last two cycles. But in the case of this most recent cycle, everyone knows New York is much closer than it ever should be. All right. So you cannot have New York within 10 points, right? New Jersey is like 7. Maryland is 10 points less Democratic, apparently, as it has been in the last 2 cycles. Florida, New York Times again, folks, 13 plus 13 for Donald Trump. We're talking about 14 million voters, folks, one of the largest states in the union. And then, take that in with like the PPIC poll in California, which is a separate poll, which is showing her running 10 points behind Joe Biden, who ran, by the way, 5 points behind Hillary Clinton. California is lurching to the right. It's just that nobody pays attention to it because it's so big.
Those Latino numbers are really incredible.
Central Valley Latinos.
That's where he's going. He's going to Coachella tomorrow.
Absolutely. And
drive a stake into this thing.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I know a guy who ran out there and knocked on doors for 6 months, and it was nothing but Hispanics for Trump out there.
Yeah,
they don't really like Republicans. They love Donald Trump now. And many of them were not Republicans in 16 or 20. And now they are, because they've had it. But anyway, in this world that they're creating with these state polls, they pop out things like Harris plus 5 or 4 in Pennsylvania and Harris plus 3 nationally. Folks, everybody on both sides of the aisle, and I'm not trying to give Trumpers complacency here.
Yeah.
But she's down in Pennsylvania. Everybody knows it's an open secret. All right. He has an advantage in Pennsylvania. And it's not huge, but it's an advantage.
Didn't even Fetterman say that? Didn't even Fetterman say that he had a
Fetterman thinks that Donald Trump is going to win in Pennsylvania. Yeah. He does. Yeah. I mean, he's like, look,
he's ahead in all 7. According to RCP today, all 7 for the first time battleground states on the averages, right, Rich?
That's right. And it's getting uglier for her. Right now, we're in the field in Pennsylvania. We're in the field in Michigan. I showed some of the results if you watched the show today. Some of the results that I thought were noteworthy. Catholics, Black voters, right? And again, even the New York Times in their polls are picking this stuff up. Yet, they put out a Harris plus 3 national poll. And when you look inside the numbers, when you look inside, you see things that are just bipolar and don't make sense.
Right. When you say copium, do you mean opium as a placating drug?
Yes. Yes.
No. Let me finish, gentlemen.
Oh, okay.
Let me finish, because you mentioned hopium. Now, is it hope or opium as a sedative, or coping as a coping mechanism, or all 3, Rich?
It's a blend. We're talking about. I'm being really eclectic here and blending it all together. Yeah, because this is what they're doing, and it pisses me off, and I'm going to tell you why. Number one, I flatly asked Nick, please pretend like we're in math class again and show your work. Tell me how on earth the math makes sense with everything I just said. Hillary Clinton's entire margin, 2.1% in 2016, you could boil down to 2 blue states, New York and California. Her actually can get even more specific and boil it down to 2 metro areas, the 5 boroughs, and Los Angeles. If you cannot run up those numbers in either one of those states,
Yeah.
how the hell are you going to get a 3-point lead that's greater than Hillary Clinton's? The arithmetic doesn't make sense unless you're trying to blow up people's and basically say that she's doing much better in places like Pennsylvania. That's a load of crap. They're selling copium to their readers. By the way, then Nate can save face when Trump, obviously outperforms that. He can save face and go, but it was within the margin, right?
Mhm.
If Trump was to win the popular vote by 1, he'll just say, let me explain to you what a sampling error is. All right. Which, of course, I'm always easy on pollsters with sampling errors, but there are glaring problems in his polls. He knows it. He knows it is why he wrote an article.
You're talking about Nate Silver now, or
Nate Cohen. He knows.
Okay, I don't know who these people are, but
he
Nate
knows
Cohen,
exactly what he's.
Nate Silver and Nate Cohen are not related.
Nate Silver's just a fraud.
They're just
He's
Jews
just a fraud.
named Nate. You're saying?
That's right. Same name. Same name.
It's not the same guy.
agenda.
It's not the same guy.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you something. To your point, the
too.
difference between Nevada and Arizona seems insane.
Listen. Talked to people this morning when those polls came out in the Wall Street Journal, and everybody just laughed. And I'm talking about.
Explain what we're talking about here, Rich.
Okay. So the Wall Street Journal comes out and shows that Trump and Harris are running either even or maybe Harris has a 1-point lead in Arizona, but Trump is somehow winning Nevada by 6 points.
Mhm.
All right. Meanwhile, Trump is sweeping the Midwest.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Okay. It simply doesn't. It's again, this is bipolar. Just yesterday, before those polls came out, one of the pollsters who conducts the poll jointly, it's Anzalone and Fabrizio. Fabrizio works for Donald Trump. He just released internal polls in a memo yesterday showing that Trump is up everywhere. And yet he comes out with these different numbers today, which is why, and I got nothing bad to say about Tony. The fact of the matter is, though, you cannot work for Donald Trump and poll for the Wall Street Journal. I don't care if you're doing it jointly. It is absolutely a conflict, an ethical conflict of interest. I don't know how in hell they could do this. But look, DeSantis' pollster polls jointly with Richard Hart, who is Hillary Clinton's pollster for NBC News.
Weird.
I mean, this is insane. You cannot do this, but they do it. And it's like, the law profession has ethical conflicts.
Your industry has ethical compromises and ethical problems, kind of like the bonding industry did 20 years ago. And bonding,
that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Wall Street bonding that collapsed after the 2008 crash. Right, Rich?
That's a good analogy. And it's time, it's like we're headed for our own kind of a crash.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, gentlemen, if Trump wins this election and it turns out not to be very close and they try to pull this BS but we were moving that way in the end. You can hear everybody saying now. Cook Politico report today, Amy Walter wrote an article saying, we repolled Pennsylvania, right? And it's not 5 points for Harris anymore. She's got a very tiny lead, but Trump's going to win because the trends favor him. No. You are pulling copium on your readers and you're hedging your bets, and it's not responsible. And I'm going to tell you why it's not responsible. Because Democrats, for all the talk about J6 over the last 3.5 years, Democrats lose their minds when they lose an election that they don't expect to lose because the media lied to them about the true state of the race forever. I've brought this up today. I'm going to say it again so your listeners and your viewers hear this. I once watched a grown man fall to his butt like a child and sob on the tennis court. This is a former pro tennis player who was training my son, sobbing on the floor because he believed polls that showed the Democrat was going to win a gubernatorial race that they lost. I had to take my daughter.
Is it intentional to get them riled up if and when they do lose, and maybe an insurrectional type
Absolutely.
Come
on. How you and I are too old for this, Mark.
Yeah.
You witnessed what they did to George Bush when he won in 2000. They wanted to hang him. They were going all right. This is insane. They were beating the doors down in Miami-Dade.
He was the original Hitler. Then everyone became Hitler after him.
That's right.
There's not enough Hitlers to go around, Rich. I mean, you can't all be Hitler, for Christ's sakes. Speaking of which, tell me about the German numbers in Pennsylvania.
Oh, right. This is why people really need, if you don't watch the show and you're a data junkie, you will love it, because I do it on my show as well. But honestly, and I got to throw all credit to him, Barnes was like, look, you have to start releasing this ethnicity stuff that you do, because it's so important. And for those of us, oh my, this is how much of a data nerd I am. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
I mean, this is what Barnes and I are talking about here. He started it all. It's Kevin Phillips, the emerging Republican majority, and everybody, including Democrats on Rui Teixeira, John Judas, they followed Kevin Phillips as a hat tip to him with the emerging Democratic majority, because everybody recognizes Kevin Phillips was right and the work is genius. All right. So ethnic voting patterns and ethnic voting trends obviously matter. Where did people migrate to over the course of the history of this country? How do they vote? What are their values? Right. So there are different ethnic groups, ethnic Catholics, Norwegians, Scandinavians. I mean, when you're talking about the Midwest, they obviously came from the Northeast, moved around the country, and so many of these different groups. It's so fascinating, the Great Lakes states and Pennsylvania and the Mid-Atlantic, because you're talking about your textbook silk stocking Republicans that are very snobby, right? Wasps, nose in the air, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like tea and crumpets time. I don't like that guy Trump. He's so crass. Like, you know, like, so
I call him the Thurston Howell III Republican. Now, what's going on up in Maine, Rich?
Well, let me just say,
go ahead.
Trump is leading. He's always done very good with Germans, who are a huge chunk of the vote in Pennsylvania. In 2020, he was winning them, but he was winning them by a smaller margin against Joe Biden, because, of course, some of them are what? Catholic. And Joe Biden was Scranton Joe, the Irish Catholic, right? And he appealed to them. They hate Kamala Harris. And Trump is now beating Kamala Harris with German voters by a margin that is significantly larger than he ever enjoyed against Joe Biden. Why is that important? Because Joe Biden barely carried the state of Pennsylvania, even if you believe everything. And we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But this is a very important group. By the way, Norwegians are, when we get into Michigan and we talk about Michigan and Wisconsin, they have different Scandinavian subgroups. The Finnish and the Swedes are much more liberal, right? So that margin obviously matters. And Norwegians are Trumpy. And by the way, Norwegians voted for Barack Obama, which is why Mitt Romney got creamed in those states. Not close.
Does Barack Obama, is he ringing this emergency alarm bell?
That's what I want to ask.
Lecturing black males yesterday that they're misogynist. Is this a way to convince people, in your humble opinion, that they should vote for his candidate?
I think it's a little bit desperate.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what Eric and I was saying. Yeah,
Barack Obama knows, because he himself was running around telling everybody he was pissed that Kamala Harris outmaneuvered him when they pulled this coup to remove Joe Biden. It was first done with an alliance between Chicago and California. And that was fine until Kamala made phone calls and straight up outmaneuvered him. And he was pissed. And he told everybody that she cannot win. She cannot beat Donald Trump. And they're like, oh, well, let me show you this polling. And he told them to stick it up there, you know what's, because he knows the American people and he knows they will not elect her.
This Newsom has not left the state of California since the nomination to campaign for her, Rich. I mean, he's rooting for her defeat also internally. Of course
he is. So is the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. So is the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. Because if you want to be president, which all three of them want to do, do you want to try to unseat a Democrat incumbent president? We just saw how that went with RFK.
They don't have 8 years to wait
either. They don't vote. They don't run primaries anymore, folks. They select their leaders over there, okay? They're the Borks, and they now select their leaders.
That's how it was originally done anyway. They've now gone full circle.
Especially by Democrats and the machine.
They've gone full circle now. Yeah.
Good. That's exactly. They're full circle because they've always been that. I lost a friend recently, Thomas Purcell. I lost him to cancer. And he wrote a book years ago called The Return of the Kings. And they've always been here. You are 100% correct. Not a lot. Some of this isn't new. It's just that they've returned. The kings have always been beneath the surface. They've always been there waiting to strike. And that's the nature of liberty and tyranny. It's a constant struggle back and forth. And they wait for their time, and when the moment is right, and they strike. But with them, those three figures, they want to be president. They're not going to help her because they want to run against a Trump is leaving office in 4 years.
Yeah, so that's a lame duck.
Successor-
He's a lame duck coming in.
His successor is not, or at least this is their thinking, that his successor, let's say it's JD Vance, is not going to be Donald Trump.
Okay.
And he will be easier to beat than trying to topple the machine that is their party from within. So, and by the way, when you do that, you blackball yourself. You blackball yourself. You know, so if they want to be president and they want to be a young president, which they do, they have to let her loose. And that is what it is. And by the way, telling you the Wall Street Journal threw them a little bit more copium to get through the weekend. But if these numbers continued, guys, Mark, you've been around a while too, like me, the media turns on Democrats when they start to lose.
Yeah, they're going to begin to turn on.
Well, they already are. You see on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
and
and
also
on 60 Minutes. Bill
Minutes.
Whitaker on 60 Minutes, Rich.
Yes,
I mean, look,
Bill Whitaker.
Who would have thought Bill Whitaker, for Christ's sakes?
I didn't. I thought it would be a softball.
I thought so too, bro.
Interview and he went, and even though I get the edit, but
that's not Bill Whitaker doing that edit.
network.
That's not Bill.
That's
right.
network corporate.
That's right. And by the way, she has a lot of friends in media. A lot of friends. So
isn't is the ABC news director or previous one? Isn't that who introduced her to her husband?
Yes,
yes,
it is, which is
Right.
incredible. Which is incredible.
That was in between her husband smacking bitches around. Because he is now not even disputing this anymore.
Well, that's another point. That's another story to the point of what we're just saying. The Murdochs want her to win, and stated publicly. They wrote their name on a piece of paper. So Murdochs, for people who don't know, they run the New York Post, they run the Wall Street Journal, they run Fox News. Yeah. They want her to win, but yet they allowed a story about this man banging the nanny and killing the baby. Yeah. So I'm telling you,
smacking his girlfriend at the ballet.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, another story of him being violent with women. I mean, this guy's a piece of work here, Rich.
I don't know why the Trump campaign, or at least surrogates, don't go harder at the Harris family.
You got
they go
me
after
right.
The Trumps. This is an untraditional marriage that has produced no children other than babies that were terminated. And 10 years ago, it would be unfathomable that people like this could ever put themselves forward for the highest office. But then again, Joe Biden tried to run twice before he became president.
Not only that, he got the nanny a position as the head of a vice president of Lorne Michaels' company at Broadway Video, SNL, because that was part of the payoff.
Hush.
That was the hush money.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody. My wife is going to be somebody. Don't tell anybody. All right. Wow. And if anyone comes, if anyone approaches you and wants to talk about this,
it's not just that this is dark. This is so transparently dark.
So
you know what I mean? It's not that it's dark. We've had a lot of darkness in the past 15 years, but this is so transparently dark. All of this stuff, the teleprompter, the nanny, the coup d'etat against Biden, threatening him with the 25th Amendment if he
disgusting what they did to him.
I mean, it's just so obvious what's going on. Now with the Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about weather manipulation and Biden threatening her, saying she's a crackpot. Everyone's a crackpot to these people, and everything is made up by the right until it's not anymore. Yeah, everything's Hunter Biden's laptop.
Something about that. On CD Media, I just read something about that weather manipulation.
We were just talking about it. I mean, it's been, we've used it for years. I mean, this is not new, Rich.
But
we used it in Vietnam.
But they act like it's something that's totally out in left field. I remember how they used to talk about Reagan with Star Wars, and then years later you got the Iron Dome. I mean, so it's a conspiracy until it's not. You said it. I mean, really.
It is a conspiracy. It's news in 2 years. I mean, essentially, conspiracy is just an early take or breaking news early.
That's the time we live in, Eric. It's awful. It really is. I mean, it's like We're constantly in a sea of
Well,
misinformation.
we're going to have an election night meetup. We're going to talk about that a little later. But we'd love to see if we could tap into you electronically, Rich, because your wife was telling me you're going to be home crunching the numbers all night.
Oh yeah,
and we
we're gonna
want to
live
see if we
the
could
whole
bring
stuff.
in some of our friends live at the event, you know, on screen, and see if we can go into various shows that are going on, like yours and Viva and some others, while we're having the live event, Rich.
I'm looking at your map. Looks good. Looks good. Looks
What
about
do you
right.
think? Yeah, looks about right, huh?
I'll tell you what, guys. I got to tell you, we were talking about the ethnic groups, and
Yep.
I don't know about Maine. I don't know.
Yeah,
about
what's the deal with Maine, bro?
I heard that you might get Maine.
I think he may get it. I'm
What
not.
about Virginia?
I'm not.
No.
Yes, Mark. I'm not. Listen, I'm not a bullshitter. You know
Right,
that.
right.
I'm not. He's been doing significant. First of all, if Biden didn't leave, he was already threatening to take it. The one poll, everybody, you should trust out in Maine, whether they're right or wrong. I'm telling you, they're at least trying to do the best job they can. Is DRI. They'll poll once in a while for the Bangor Daily News.
Right.
You will look, if you look up polling on Maine, and especially the 2nd Congressional District, going back to 2016, you'll see like Emerson did all right in 16, but then in 2020, they had Biden winning the 2nd Congressional District by like 6 points. And of course, Trump won it by 8, right? DRI has done a great job. They showed that race was dead even.
How is Trafalgar? Because I've been following Trafalgar.
I know, Robert. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they seem very legit.
They're a better one, right?
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good
Yeah.
guy. Robert's he's a good guy. You know,
Now, how does North Carolina and Georgia look to you?
North Carolina is a very difficult state to poll, and
Right.
nobody but me and like 1 and 2 other people. ECU screws up sometimes, but they're nice guys. He's a nice guy. He wants to do right. It's tough. It's a difficult state to poll. Listen, nobody has polled it correctly in over 10 years.
Well, how's it looking to you? I don't care about them.
I
How do
think
you see
I
it?
don't even. I think this is hot air.
Is this
complete
a +5? Is this a +5?
Yeah,
area
it's
for
probably
Trump?
in somewhere in the neighborhood of depending on you know, he beat Hillary Clinton there by about 4. I think that's probably what we're looking at. Ted Budd won against Sherry Beasley in 22. Everyone focused on the red wave that was Florida in 22, and everybody ignored North Carolina. When the nation overall and the other battleground states let Republicans down. That's why Michael Whatley, by the way, is one of the co-chair of the Republican National Committee right now, because Michael Whatley, who's from North Carolina, was the North Carolina party chair. He was fantastic. When people asked me, who do you think we should be? Who do you think people should look at when we get kick out Rona, which we're about to do? Yeah. Immediately, I said Michael Whatley. There was no other thought that could come to my head.
How about the black governor running down there who has
cooked?
He's cooked. Yeah,
he's cooked. Listen, I mean, that's a whole other conversation.
Right. We'll talk about that next time. Yeah.
I mean, but I will say one thing about it.
Yeah.
White Republicans cooked him. All right. Josh Stein did not have that information. The Republican Party did. And they are uncomfortable with the idea of a black MAGA man being the governor of their state. And I'm sorry, but that's just true. And Republicans, you better suck it up and deal with it, because it's a dark ugliness that I've seen in the southern parts of the Republican Party. And it's not like the people you would think from the media, you know, the media characterizations of the South. It's the sweater vest wearing country club Republican. That's who it is. The silk stocking version of the South. Robert Barnes, he put it best. He's like, these are the you know, Democratic slave owner ancestor types. Like, that's who they are. That's exactly who they are.
Tell me quickly about Georgia, because I don't have you for much longer.
I think Trump's got an advantage in Georgia. She's nowhere near in the black vote where she needs to be. She's got it.
Is she at like 67%? I mean, what world is she in?
We have her at roughly 72%.
72. Okay, right.
He's got 22% of the black vote. Right. It's insane. I mean, that's absolutely insane.
Totally insane.
Yeah, he will, and typically a Republican will need close to 2/3 of the white vote, and then have to do somewhat respectable with non-whites in order to win Georgia. Right now, he's where he needs to be with white voters.
Tell me the white voter numbers for this election, Rich, because I know you know it diminishes as time goes on. Where are we percentage-wise of the voter electorate?
We still think we still think that white voters will be between 69 to upwards of maybe 71% of the electorate. Some of these polls are doing 63, 64. It's
That's
like
crazy. It's crazy.
That's insane.
It's insane.
The voter validated surveys, forget about Edison and their exit polls, which are not good. The voter validated surveys are all pretty clear on this. The census, I believe, had it at 71 for 2020. The Harvard study put it at 70 or 72. I mean, everyone's like ballpark in that area, but never lower than 70. It will decline as time goes on, which is why like the Mex, the white vote crowd is stupid in the Republican Party. They're dumb. You will start to lose states like Mississippi. Eventually, like Georgia became competitive. Eventually,
is the future of MAGA really SPAGA, the Spanish MAGA vote?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And when I would add to that, though, upwards of 1/5 of the black vote. I mean, there is a real possibility for this, guys. Every prior election, when there's ever been, the hint of data showing that, a Republican candidate may do better by August. July, typically August, the latest, it vanishes in the polls and things go back to normal. It's October 11th. We have seen it dwindle somewhat, but nothing like what we're used to in presidential cycles. It's time to come to the realization that this guy is going to do as the best of any Republican candidate among non-white voters since Richard Nixon. That's going to happen. I mean, we are. The only question is how much. Is he going to win, 12% of the black vote instead of 8 or 9? Is he going to win 15? Is he going to win 20? I mean, because black men did not budge when they swapped out Joe for Kamala. They didn't move. Black women somewhat did, but like in Pennsylvania, Michigan, the voters, the numbers are remarkably consistent. Even with black women, we have them at 12% without leaning undecideds. I mean, everyone saw him doing better with black men in 20. Nobody saw the black female coming out of nowhere. He doubled his support with black women from 16 to 20, and no poll caught that, gentlemen. None of them did. So, we'll see how it goes. But I
see how it goes.
How about Virginia? Before you get out, I want to know about my state.
Virginia, you have look. If it's a wipeout election, he can take Virginia.
Yeah,
but you're talking about counties like Loudoun County that are super white, educated, and affluent. And then in central part of the state, like Chesterfield, for instance, Youngkin didn't win them to win the statewide vote. He closed the gap in places like that. And then he ran up the votes in the mountain region of the Shenandoah Valley, right? If Trump can get the Shenandoah Valley to like 18% of the overall vote, 19 even better. And then do what Youngkin did in places like Chesterfield and Loudoun County, he could do it. But it's, the numbers that are concerning the Democrats in Virginia right now are the numbers of new voters who are requesting ballots. And that's a problem for them because we don't have party registration in Virginia, so we don't know for sure who they are. But we do know from the polls and deep research that Trump is killing with new voters. So, and I'm not talking about young voters. They're not mutually exclusive, right? They overlap with each other, and you could be 45 years old and be a new voter in 2024. So, so that is something, by the way, that would throw the polls completely off, because when we get closer to the election, everybody does a likely voter screen, guys. And if you do not have a robust vote history, you are very likely to be tossed out of that pollster sample. So everyone does it a little bit differently. We have qualifications. We have multiple points to decide whether or not we think that person's a likely voter, but most pollsters do not. If they say they're going to vote, but they don't have a robust history, they're out. Otherwise, maybe they'll keep those who say they're 100% certain, but the probablys get thrown out. Right? Or the likelies, instead of very likely or certain, they get thrown out. Well, I made that mistake in 2016. And that's why I only added Trump +3 in Ohio. And then he crapped all over me and he won the state by almost 10 points. So, you know what I mean? I'm not making that mistake again.
Ladies and gentlemen, the People's Pundit has spoken to you. Inside the numbers on Monday with Barnes.
What are the odds? Yes.
What are the odds?
What are the odds Mondays at 2? Yeah.
What are the odds Mondays at 2?
Inside the numbers noon.
Inside the numbers at noon. And I just want to give a shout out to your wife for loaning you out to us.
Thank you, Laura.
For this 30-minute segment. Thank you, Laura. He'll be
She loves you guys.
He'll be dealing with the kid in 5 seconds. Rich, you got to come back before the election.
Of course.
We got to talk about this when the next update comes through.
Of course, my
Yes.
friend. See you
Thank
later,
you.
guys. Be
All
good
right,
every
Rich.
Friday.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. All right. All right.
That was fun.
Oh, yeah. It's always fun with
I
Rich.
love these updates with him. He's so crazy about inside the weeds, talking about these different people. I never even heard of these
That's
people,
good.
for Christ's sakes.
That's good. Well, I like
Yeah.
the encouragement, and I'm still taking the Obama thing as a good sign that he's been sent out to try to fix her black vote problem. It's the only thing I can think
that
of.
is so desperate, bro. If you've got to go out for a pseudo black woman to fix her pseudo black vote problem with her pseudo black male hating audience, you got a problem.
I wouldn't be surprised. You know how you said that Obama doesn't like what she did and everything. He may be doing that deliberately to sabotage her.
I didn't
sitting
thought
there
of that.
shaming black males, knowing that they're going to get pissed off.
They're going to get pissed off. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, it's kind of it was reminds me of his pull up the pants program that quickly dissipated when the first year of his election, when he lectured black males to pull up their pants and become black fathers. And Bill Cosby did the same thing. He quickly dropped his, and then they went after Bill Cosby on social media, and then he had his own problems, Bill Cosby. But this attempt by Obama to have them pull up their pants, metaphysically, metaphorically, and also physically, did not go well for Obama.
Definitely. But you know what? Well, while we're here, we're still close to the Rich time period.
Okay.
Let's talk about what's going on in Boca.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're going to go to Boca, Eric and I, and we're going to try, like I was mentioning that with Rich, we're going to have up on a dais, we're going to have some guests, and me and Huntley will be doing a Huntley-Brinkley report of the news of the election, and we'll have that as a live feed. We'll have a buffet dinner. We'll have a cash bar. Every battleground state that Trump wins, I'm buying a round of drinks for the audience. Don't try to stop me. We're going to go for hours, so it's not going to be I think we've got the room from 3 to 11 or 4 to 11, so the dinner will be right before the show. The audience obviously will be part of the live show. We're in a very luxurious ballroom in a nice hotel with a super discount secret code that you could get if you click on the link that Eric provided down below for the tickets. It's in Boca Raton, right near Viva's house. So if he doesn't come over, I'm just going to drive over and get him, and with a loudspeaker, drag him out of his house with his kid and his dog that has no legs. And we'll get him over there, and we'll see who else we could tap into electronically, like I was starting to discuss with Rich. So it's going to be a mega election event. I'm calling it the end of America, but that's obviously sarcastic. Hopefully it'll be the beginning again. And Eric can explain about the situation with locals.
All right. We're doing something different this year, and I wanted to explain it because it's something new. Our yearly membership for locals for people who wish to support us is $70. So because people are supporting us, I put together a discount code, and we're giving $70 off of the ticket. So anybody who's already a local supporter, well, they get $70 off of the $300 ticket. Oh, if you want to support us on locals essentially for free, you're going to buy the tickets anyway. You can get a $70 discount by becoming a local supporter.
I got you.
And there's a link in the feed, and I highly recommend it because that just gives you more access, more materials. You get to listen to the Oswald audio drama. Part 5 is underway. We put up different books, other materials that we don't share out everywhere, uploading different things. For example, the ABC appearance that Mark was on recently.
I just want to say, I went into the pharmacist yesterday to pick up my drugs, and the pharmacist said, "My wife and I watched you on 2020 the other night." I said, "Who, me?" And they said, "Yeah, we saw you with the murder thing." I almost cracked up. It was so funny. But yeah, we'll put that up. I would put our locals up against any other locals. It's completely different than other people's locals because it's derivative of our channel. So we have secret documents, we have PDFs, we have rare books, we have my particular work that I've done, scripts that I've made. It's different than Barnes and Viva's locals, and theirs is great. Ours is just different, and we have a lot of different stuff up there that people can't get other places.
And also, if you don't want to do any of it, I mean, let's say you're not going to the meetup, whatever, you can become a locals member for free. And we put up a ton of stuff for free, people.
Yeah, we do.
I cannot stand that. I have seen different locals, I'm not going to call them out, where you look at their locals and it's like supporters only, supporters only, supporters only.
I've seen that.
Well, why am I here? Our locals is about people who are posting on there, sharing their information. It's kind of like a private Facebook group in some ways, but just with really cool people and great content. So I hope you do consider checking it out. And again, links in the description, unstructured.locals.com.
Okay. Also remember to vote before you come down to the to the event in Boca. I mean, if you're coming that day, you could vote early in the morning if you're geographically close to the event. But you can do a mail-in. You could do, some ballot places are open early, a couple of days before election day now. There's a lot of ways to skin this cat, but don't come down there thinking we've got, wouldn't it be great if we had like one of those ballot boxes you could put the thing in?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny.
No, that'd be great. It would definitely be fantastic. All right, so we need to get back to the news. You sent me an article from Washington Post, and I, of course, had to go find the archive version because of the stupid paywalls. But a home in Ohio for African immigrants with nowhere to go. Very interesting.
I don't know what this one. Yeah, it's really weird.
So I think they're trying to say, there's no influx of migrants in Ohio. There's nothing going on here, nothing to see. This article
is another incredible lie that they think they can cover this up. They're flying them in from other countries. We've now seen that.
And look at the date.
June 9th, 2024. Right. I mean, this is
preceding everything we said.
Right. Amazing deception that they believe is going to work. I mean, it's just amazing. They're either incompetent or so arrogant that they don't give an F about pulling this off. I can't figure out which it is. It's clearly not ineptitude. It's either they're confident or they don't give a shit, or it's just complete ineptitude. I mean, it's hard to believe that they think they can get away with this politically.
Yeah, I mean,
there was a girl who went up to Maine showing this brand new condo development that they put these people in up in Maine that was built for, there's a wealthy area, and it was built for local people. They took it over. It was brand new. They put them in these incredibly gorgeous condos with the free electric, cable, every single thing, and they're from Africa. And they literally flew them from Africa to this town in Maine where they're living in this condo development. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, he has got to track them all down as soon as he becomes the president again and begin to get ICE to round them up. And it's going to be painful, and it's going to be awkward, and it's going to have fingernails across the floor. But what else are you going to do, Eric?
Well, first thing you got to do is shut down all the hiring abilities. Lock that down.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
okay, that's a good point.
Start busting the employers, because if you can't give them incentive to stay. If you first take away,
I got a guy. Good point. I got a guy contacted me from Springfield. He's a car salesman, and he works in Springfield, Ohio. And he said 3 times or 4 times a week they're coming in with phony social security numbers trying to get car loans on cars. And his boss finally said, just ignore them, say it didn't go through, don't make a big deal out of it. And he said, I don't know what to do anymore. They just keep coming in with phony social security numbers, trying to get a car loan and a car, to no avail. And he says it's all week.
Weird. I believe it. It is crazy, ridiculous. But Sweden's got an answer. They're apparently starting to forcibly deport people from Sweden to Iraq.
Yeah, this is a plan I talked about for 20 years with the Palestinians, half jokingly about giving them $5,000 a piece to get out. I pulled a random amount of money out of my ass, but the point was the same. Giving them the $5,000, notifying them way in advance, creating a deadline, You can't come back. You take the money. It's a one-time payout. You go wherever you want, whether it's 5,000, 10,000, 4,000, whatever you can raise money-wise, I think would be the system. In other words, an international GoFundMe type thing for Israel to pay for this and get them out of there. Apparently, 20 years later, the Swedes are paying these people $34,000 in Swedish money to get the hell out of there. So the Swedes must have heard me from the time machine or something.
I mean, it works, and in the great scheme of things, it's not that expensive.
I agree. And I think the Israelis, if they haven't considered it, I don't know. But I've been saying this half jokingly for 20 years. Just pay them to get out of there. Do it the old-fashioned way. Here's your money, and goodbye. You can't come back. That's it. You pay once, you get out, go wherever the hell you want, but you can't come here.
Yeah, and it really does take away from complaints. Well, wait a minute.
I think Gaza, I think the Hamas would kill them if they accepted the money. So I think there's going to be a physical problem because they don't want to give up power that way. I don't know how you get around that, being steel manning that argument. I mean, I don't know how you pay them off, but in theory, that was my idea.
That's true. I've seen some footage, and I can't go, obviously into it. It's horrible, of some, essentially executions from Hamas of Palestinians who, not allowing them to leave an area. It was Israel saying, "Hey, we're going to bomb. Get the hell off that block," and then them shooting people who try to leave.
Well, I just wonder, I mean, it's the same rationale for the people who are anti-Israel now in their attacks or counterattacks on Iran. I mean, you either stand with the democracy of Israel, forget about us, forget about the United States. You may hate the United States, but I'm talking about pundits who are here, Eric, and you know who they are, people that we used to watch, people who are anti-Israel. You either stand with the mullahs of a theocracy in Iran, or you stand with the democracy of Israel. That's where we are right now in this world situation. And I said to someone the other day, if Israel had been created 9 years earlier, in 1940, these people would have been supporting Adolf Hitler and Germany in their attack on Israel in 1940 in this parallel counter history that I've just created. That's how much they hate the Jews. They would have stood with Adolf Hitler if he had to fight a three-front war against Israel and the Allies and Britain, America and Britain. They would have backed Adolf Hitler. And in fact, Charles Lindbergh did, and many America First people did back in the day support Adolf Hitler. I believe a lot of the progressive left would have been in back of Hitler in a potential war against Israel in 1940.
Well, John Foster Dulles, Alan Dulles, there's some, a great deal of comfort with folks in Germany of the time. So I have no doubt. Oh, well, here on a light note, you shared this with me earlier. I've not seen a stolen ambulance. 10th
time it's happened out here. I can't. The reason I shared that with you is this has happened over a dozen times in LA. I don't know how they keep doing this. They continue to steal ambulances and get involved in high-speed chases.
As long as they don't have a patient, I guess. But my God,
no, they never have a patient. 1 or 2 times there's been a patient. But the stolen ambulance thing is a typical move out here. I think the door might be open in the back for all I know back there. Does that look like the door is wide open? Yeah. The patient probably rolled out onto the freeway when they took off. But this was great. And also the one with the city bus driver. The guy comes on the bus, city bus driver here, Metro bus, with a gun, and he shoots a guy in the back of the bus, kills him, has the gun to the driver's head, and takes the police on a low-speed city bus chase with the gun to the driver's head.
Oh, my God.
No. Of the city bus driver. And the kid who was killed was a great kid who worked as a parking attendant at Dodger Stadium, usually rides his bike to work after the Dodger game. He didn't take his bike because the bike was being repaired, took the city bus, the biggest blunder of his life, and was shot and killed by this guy who eventually they brought in a SWAT team. The driver pushed the panic button. They have a secret panic button on the bus. LAPD showed up, then a SWAT team showed up, then flashbangs were thrown. Finally, he was taken down and incarcerated. And the first thing they did was put out a spin. And this is what they do. And we've talked about these spin news things. They said it was a drug deal that went bad and everybody went back to work. And it wasn't. They lied again. It was another bold face. Early, they put these out all the time now, these phony stories by the left to placate people of their own political persuasion. Oh, the side door is open too. They're probably picking up patients along the way.
I'm sure that if they robbed it, like they ran in, jumped and grabbed it, the doors probably weren't, sealed together. The stretcher might have blown out the back, knocked the door open, and the side door might have been loose. Who knows? But wow.
Well, there was a couple of good ones there. So we got that. There was a man in Santa Monica, went into the Target, stole a knife, came out and stabbed a cop moments later in Santa Monica. Went in to steal the knife, stole the knife, came out and stabbed the cop. And now in Santa Monica, this just came out this morning, they voted to have a 122-unit apartment complex, condo complex, for something like $1 million an apartment. It was $122 million, 122 unit homeless apartment complex, luxury on 4th Street in Santa Monica, right next to the 3rd Street Promenade, that has all of their high sales tax driven stores that provide sales tax for the city of Santa Monica to be a communist city. The 3rd Street Promenade has the movie theaters and restaurants and everything else. If you've been out to Santa Monica, they decided to put this on 4th Street, the next street, and it's 122 units for the homeless that the city council, people suspect, was paid off to vote for this, because now the people in Santa Monica are going crazy that this 122 unit drug-infested building is being built to house the homeless in their precious upscale town.
Insane. Wow. Okay, so while we're on that, at least other countries have problems. This may be one of the best DEI hires ever. And this is in New Zealand.
Oh my God.
This individual, shall we say, managed to wreck this $100 million vessel. You can see it listing and toppling over there. But
my God.
Yeah, $100 million.
Bye-bye, New Zealand Navy. Well, yeah, that worked out.
Yeah, because it's more important to make sure that you hire a lesbian than it is to, have somebody qualified.
Right.
It's the first Navy vessel they have lost since World War II. So either you have the Japanese forces firing and shooting down a ship, or you just do a DEI hire. Both equally effective.
Right. We're fighting the Japanese or we're fighting the DEI. That's a good one. That's a real good one. The other one, getting over to New York again, I want to talk about corruption in New York, because now the deputy mayor of New York, Sheena Wright, has resigned. They had taken her phones, the FBI, the first time around, and now she is bailing out of the administration, as is, I believe, the head of finance for the city. He's now bailing out. So they're starting to peel off around Mayor Adams as the walls begin to tighten on this crook there in New York. This is getting very interesting. New York, obviously, amazing amounts of problems with the amount of illegal aliens they brought in as a sanctuary city. The hotels are overrun, and now the Mets are advancing to the League Championship Series. Possibly the Yankees as well, possibly the Dodgers. We'll find out tonight if it's Mets-Dodgers on Sunday. But I wanted to address this situation with Governor Patterson, the blind governor of New York. The former governor was blind. He was attacked by a gang of kids, beaten down in New York on his way home on 2nd Avenue. He's a black dude who was the governor, I think, before Cuomo, and he's legally blind. he was with his stepson, who happens to be, oddly enough, the actual son of Curtis Sliwa, the founder of the Guardian Angels, and is a guardian angel himself, the stepson. Yeah. So he's the stepson of the governor, the former governor of New York, but he's the actual son. I guess somebody got divorced and married the governor of New York. But the kid who's a guardian angel, the stepson, he saw these kids climbing the fire escape, obviously to rob an apartment, and said, if you don't get off of there, he's with the governor going home. And he says, if you don't get off there, we're going to call the police. So they came down the fire escape and beat the living shit out of him and the blind governor, including two adult housing authority employees who were adults were also beating them up. A guy in his 30s and a guy in his 20s, besides these teenagers. So it was like 6 teenagers and 2 adults beating the living crap out of the former governor and Curtis Sliwa's son. I mean, this is Clockwork Orange level stuff at this point. This is where we are in New York. This is Clockwork Orange, my friends, because when you're beating blind black governors senseless on the streets of New York, we're through the looking glass here. We're through the looking glass.
Wow.
Yeah, Curtis Sliwa, who big hero of people
who
like
ran
myself.
against Adams, the current mayor.
Ran against Adams, actually, yeah, and is a hero to a lot of working class New Yorkers, going back to the 70s when the Guardian Angels began to patrol the New York City subway system and fight back against crime. They still exist, and they're still doing the same thing. And this kid almost, he got pretty beaten up and he's hospitalized, the son of Curtis Sliwa, the Guardian Angel in New York. I don't know if you have any, there might be a little bit of video or an article I might have sent you if you had any photos there.
I haven't found it yet. There's so many articles.
There might be a photo of the kid. I wanted to show you how young the kid is Sliwa's son. And also the governor, I mean, which people remember, the governor of New York, the blind governor.
Oh, for sure. All right, here we go. There's
the beating.
I can't show that, but yeah.
Okay.
Here's the son and the
father. That's Curtis Sliwa on the left. That's his son on the right.
And the blind
There's the blind governor. Yeah, he got beaten up pretty badly by these kids. The kids are all like 13 and 14, 15 years of age. I don't know if they're going to try them as adults or whatever, but something's got to. No, New York once in a while do that, but Sliwa is going after Alvin Bragg directly about this case to make sure that this doesn't dissipate and disappear, because this may be one. There may be a bridge too far, if there is a bridge too far in New York. I don't really know.
I thought they only prosecuted bodega owners who are, defending their businesses.
Right.
It seems that way. Okay. Well, let's switch back to your coast again.
Okay.
Explain this to me. This is a
article. Yeah, this is my take on this. I was talking about this morning here in my house. Our only take is Scientology. This is some sort of religious Scientology mumbo jumbo where they keep you around until your body astrally projects into outer space. And I'm just making that up, but I think it has something to do with Scientology.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know the details of this, but I think the headline tells you the entire story here. And the only common thing I could take away from this, and they kind of did this with L. Ron Hubbard. They kept him on ice and they kept him around before his body was taken up to the galaxy. So I think it's part of their mumbo jumbo. And she was part of the mumbo jumbo. So I'm going to go with mumbo jumbo on this one and say it's got something to do with Scientology.
Okay. Now, really quickly, you've asked me before, hey, what about this guy, Lex Friedman? Right?
Yeah, I don't know who this guy. I know he's got a podcast, but
a huge podcast.
He sounds like a spook to me. I don't know. He sounds spooky.
Well, this guy, he may be onto something, and he's describing, this is Lex.
The following is a conversation with Satan, acclaimed CEO, entrepreneur, dear friend, and author of the recent best-selling memoirs, From the Depths I Shall Tempt Your Soul. Formerly known as Lucifer, Satan and I have become good friends, bonding over our shared love of literature, quantum physics, and creative methods of torture, like this podcast. As always, I hope to approach this discussion with empathy, to bridge the gap, promote open dialogue, and let
Yeah,
love
he
triumph
always seems
over
to have
all.
a flattened affect. I mean, not unlike this. I mean, I don't get it. I don't know.
That guy was spot on, but
Right. I don't get how he
Don't-
got all these numbers.
don't believe me, believe Lex.
Yeah. What does it say there?
Accurate. Well done. Fist bump.
That's funny.
At least he took it well.
Well, somebody who didn't take it well is Ethel Kennedy, who's now gone up to her astral projection body in the sky. I mean, the mother of RFK Jr. passed away yesterday. According to RFK Jr., this was 2 years ago. I was privy to some emails that he was sending to his sisters about them trying to get her to endorse Joe Biden. And he wrote to them, and I still have the emails. It might have been 2.5 years ago, because Paul Schrade was still alive. He sent me the emails. He was saying that the mother was a vegetable back then, that she was on life support, essentially. So I think she's been on life support for a couple of years. And he used the word vegetable, saying, you know, mother is a vegetable. You're abusing her for this is outrageous. How dare you try to get her to, using her, she can't even speak. So this, I think she was lingering or on life support for a couple of years. Ethel Kennedy, now keep in mind, Ethel Kennedy was pregnant with Rory Kennedy the night her husband was killed here, June 6th, when he finally died in LA here, shot at the Ambassador Hotel by Thane Eugene Cesar. Ethel Kennedy famously screaming at reporters to get away from him, pushing them back, getting completely violent with them in the kitchen of the Ambassador Hotel here in Los Angeles the night of June 4th. And then he lingered for one more day. And Rory Kennedy, who has been so vociferously opposed to her brother's candidacy, was not even alive. And yet she was in her mother's stomach and saying that their father would be opposed to RFK Jr.'s candidacy and everything about him. It's kind of outrageous. But Ethel Kennedy had her own problems. Let me just put it that way. She had her own issues. And, look, she went through a lot, losing her husband, and her house became just out of control with the kids. And then Ted Kennedy was brought in to help father some of the kids. That didn't go so well because Ted Kennedy had his own issues. Ethel Kennedy had her issues. This was a crazy situation back east, and we talked about the night of the assassination of RFK Sr. in the Hunt episode, because Hunt said that in 1963 that the kids were taken out of school. The Kennedy kids were taken out of school in 1963 from their private school where he lived in D.C. Very interesting connection from Hunt and the Kennedys, the kids, that is, the kids.
Of course, we've come to find out that Hunt was connected to everything.
Everything on the earth, my friends.
Yeah, it seems like from World War II forward until, post-Watergate.
Well, I mean, directing films for the OSS. How about the fact that he was involved in the writing and creation of Animal Farm, the anti-Stalin animated thing based on Orwell's book? I mean, involved in the funding, the transfer of the money, convincing George Orwell's widow to accept the CIA money to create Animal Farm, one of the most expensive animated films ever made at that time. Paid for by the Central Intelligence Agency. I mean, wow.
Quite the career.
Ethel Kennedy, a complicated, long life. May she rest in peace. A very, very turbulent life, and I hope she rests in peace. She was a very religious Catholic, according to all sources.
Practicing like
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
Wednesday, Friday, they
Yeah.
did all the masses. But then, she had a rough time. I mean,
She had a rough time.
Lose your brother-in-law.
How about David? I mean, what about the kids? I mean,
yeah,
what a mess. What a freaking mess this woman had to live through.
The whole Kennedy family.
Yeah.
Issues. All right. Well, this is so crazy. Okay. By the way, everybody, we'll be doing another news show on Tuesday because we have so much news we can't keep up with it. Just while we're sitting here, I saw that this is breaking in Chicago.
Oh, wow. Look at this. Won't you please come to Chicago? It can help. Oh, there's big screen TVs?
Yeah, we need TV. Hey, come on. Let's
Holy
go get
cow, man. This is becoming, this
Look
is
how
right there in the
brazen.
middle of the city.
Yeah. Is that brazen or what?
Holy crap.
This is just, it just literally.
There's no police. There's
breaking
just
like
no
right
police.
now.
Yeah, there's no police.
To continue.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Who's that? Is that the police?
That's the police.
Oh, they just drove away.
We're going to stay with this. But
They just pointed guns and drove away.
Officers pulling out their weapons there just a moment ago. There appear to be
Didn't even do anything. She made
Wow.
it illegal under the lesbian black mayor. She made it illegal for hot pursuit of Chicago PD to hot pursuit a suspect in Chicago, by the way. That's illegal now. You can't pursue them on foot and you can't pursue them in cars. So I don't know how you pursue them, but they want these people to get away. Now, that being said, they got back to California for a brief second. You covered Chicago there. Going back to California, they found $1.7 million worth of fentanyl, and they smuggled in, not in watermelons this time, the phony watermelon story, which we covered. This is now inside of chop meat, and good luck sticking your hands in there looking for fentanyl if you're the DEA. This is somebody got in there and found the fentanyl inside the raw chop meat.
Well, this is an improvement on, but I interviewed Mike Levine, the DEA, and one of the worst cases of drug smuggling has to be our own when they were smuggling in heroin inside of dead veterans.
Oh, that was weird. I had a guy who was my roommate when I was a phony patient in a drug rehab. Black dude had just gotten out of Folsom. He'd been in there for 20 years. He was in a shootout in a diamond store, in a jewelry store robbery in Pasadena 20 years before. He was my roommate in this rehab I was doing a story about. Anyway, he told me when he was in Folsom that he was in the kitchen and he was in charge of smuggling in heroin through burritos. And it came into the kitchen inside of the burritos. And they were frozen inside the frozen burritos, and he would, him and others would keister them, and I'll just leave it at that, and distribute them to the inmates who had paid for them in advance. So you had that operation. He was going into detail, telling me how the operation worked at Folsom, which I thought was fascinating. And
it was brown smack, right?
Yeah. Well, when it was China white when it went in, but it was
Mexican brown when
it was Mexican brown when it came out, bro.
Oh, good Lord!
All right, what else you got? That was grim.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is more encouraging. Did you see that Elon's putting his money where his mouth is?
I like this.
He funded the America PAC. Now, there's a little controversy because he's like, hey, I need the name America, the Twitter handle. So he just seized it from somebody. So that was kind of dickish. But essentially, he's paying people $47 for each referred swing state voter.
Wow.
Which is
great.
Which
probably
is,
be arrested for election interference.
I was going to say, I don't know the legality of it, but
right.
People who are living in swing states or knowing people who live in swing states, you have an opportunity to potentially get some money. It's $30 an hour with added performance bonuses.
I like that.
He's really putting his money.
Well, I had a tranny screaming at me outside of Albertsons yesterday, working for the ACLU to get me to give her money for the ACLU. And I just said, you got to be kidding me. And I thought this was a promising sign, because if the ACLU is now forced to have trannies on the street outside of Albertsons collecting money, they must be low on funds, because this is not the traditional way that the ACLU gathers funding, Eric.
Yeah, definitely isn't. Definitely isn't. You know what we need to do? Just to always cheer me up. I want to look at some super chats.
Okay, that always cheers you up.
Of course. Daniel Friedrichs has been a member for 4 months. Did Kamala use a teleprompter during their town hall? It sure appears
that way.
Now, there are some people who are, by the way, copium's been around a while, Mark. But some people
what is it? What is it?
It's copium. It's sending out a bullshit message to make people feel better about themselves. It's an internet culture.
Okay, but opium is a sedative. That's
it's the con.
Okay, so is it hope or an opium altered state high?
It's a cope. It's opium. It's just
okay. It's got 3 parts. It's got 3 parts. Nobody's answering this question for me. There's the coping part, the hoping part, and the opium sedation part.
It is using words as opium to help those crybabies cope.
Okay, then what about the hope?
There is no hope.
There's no hope
very
in
cynical.
copium. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's a cynical thing.
Okay, so there's no hope in copium.
Correct.
Okay.
There is, however,
because he mentioned hope. He mentioned it's also hopium. I'm
correct. There is hopium.
That's something else now. That has
right.
Hope
This is
and
copium. Yes.
I'm very confused. But anyway, go on. Don't worry about me.
Welcome to it.
Out.
All right. Well, here's some copium for us.
Okay.
Blitzen gave 10 America's Untold.
You know what? Donna's going to come out after Blitzen and give us 20. Come on, Donna.
All right. Well, while we're waiting for Donna, Pew Pew has given 10. And Pew Pew is back. By the way, I think I said on Tuesday, Pew Pew finally got the package. I sent it in September, in mid-October, so it took about a month to travel the world, including Australia, from the east coast of America to Norway.
What's going to happen to that package that's inside the CIA storage facility now that people are aware that that package is inside the CIA storage facility near you?
It is probably just going to be put away somewhere. Okay. Well, we'll deal with that after the election, and we'll see if Trump does anything. Hopefully, Bobby is paying attention and making notes and saying, "Hey, Donald, day one, you need to take care of this."
Yeah,
because I don't think that the guy there right now on the beach is going to say, let me get off my beach chair and sign a document to let it go.
You know what? I didn't know that the CIA doesn't have an address. It's just Langley, Virginia. There's no post office box. There's no numerical address on purpose. It's the only government agency that doesn't have an address.
So maybe they studied under Jimmy Swaggart?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, because, to just say Langley, Virginia, you go, okay, it's CIA. I get it, but I guess they didn't want anybody to mail them stuff.
Well, there's a Jesuit trend there. So is it like Vatican?
Yeah, maybe.
Is there? We'll just declare, Langley is the city. It's CIA. It's Spook City. Quite literally the whole thing. I know. Mike Schaefer with the super sticker. Thank you very much.
The beer you're having when you're having more than one.
Pamela has been a member for 18 months. Happy Friday. Thank you, Pamela. You've been here a while. Thank you. Deuce Shea, I'm afraid we have not seen the last of the dirty deeds done dirt cheap. Thoughts? Agree.
Dirty deed done dirt cheap. I don't know about the expense of the deeds. They may put a lot of money into these deeds. I mean, when you start talking about weather manipulation and destroying sections of a state, I mean, that's not cheap.
Well, there's that, but I think he's also talking about like Jack Smith and that judge, revealing all this dirty data on Trump within the 60-day period that they're not supposed to be doing it.
Yeah, they're just unrelenting. I mean, somebody's got to get this Jack Smith as soon as he gets back in power and pick him up and incarcerate him.
That'd be nice. Wellesley said land owned by Gates is going to be used for lithium drilling. See Wyoming, Gladstone turned core. Yeah. You know what?
I can live with that as long as it's not Chinese-owned land drilling for lithium in the backyard near a military base.
That was my question is who's buying more land up right now, China or Bill Gates?
It's a race against time. I mean, I've got people I know in Missouri who say that Gates is buying up every square inch of land in Missouri.
Yes, he is. I mean, the guy's a maniac, and I don't trust it. You know what? But Gates and China could be the same damn thing.
I know. Chinagate.
China Gates. Yeah. Andrew Piscadlo. The Harris campaign, upon a Trump PV win, will get it from both ends, like Katie Hill with the fundraising deadline. If the whole gap delivers with the Dems having a temper tantrum in the corner, who's going to listen? I don't quite understand this.
I think he was referring to the Dems turning on each other if Trump wins, and saying who is going to listen to them turning on each other. Basically, what Rich was referring to is that they'll go after each other in the next couple of weeks as it becomes apparent that this is a bloodbath. I think that's what he's implying. Who's going to listen to them fighting each other?
That could be, and
yeah, but it could be internal too, Eric.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask Rich this too. I didn't want to get too many in there. I do sort of feel like if she loses, she's done forever.
Yeah.
And there will be no Democrats crying about it, because they didn't like this woman before she stole the nomination.
Right. She could run for governor of California, which is what Nixon did after he lost in 1960. So it's not unprecedented. I'm not saying she's going to win, but I'm just saying that it's not unprecedented in presidential and California gubernatorial politics. Let me just put it that way.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And it is an open seat.
Yeah. Bezel Beshov, Kamala hopes to waltz into the White House.
With this Chinese Manchurian candidate, he's more dangerous than she is.
Oh, yeah. The dude is bad. I just saw somebody say something on Twitter that Waltz's October surprise is coming this weekend. And
which is what?
He said the implications are pretty gross. He said, it's not touchdown, Tim. It's touching, Tim.
I see. I see what you're saying.
But I don't know for sure. I quickly bookmarked it, so it's like, let me go follow up and see what comes out this weekend.
Well, this blitzkrieg of a candidacy cuts both ways. I mean, she was selected without really vetting her, and he was selected with even less vetting than her. So who knows what skeletons are rattling around in her husband's closet, as we've seen, and his being in the closet or doing stuff in the closet, which we may find out next week.
He's just weird, dude. He's a really weird
dude.
He's
a weird dude, man. Not as weird as the cat in Colorado. I mean, that guy's even weirder than Waltz.
True. Oh, speaking of weird and comparisons, I can't play it here because obviously we get copyright struck. Have you seen the back and forth meme video that Trump shared in Pennsylvania with the weird trans? I forget what he is, like the admiral.
Okay.
And he countered it with Gunny from Full Metal Jacket to show, military before.
Oh, I have seen that. I have seen that. Yeah.
It was classic. If
I have seen that. Yeah. Interesting.
All right. Sean Lucan gifted 10 America's Untold Stories memberships. Thank you, Sean, very much. And Rustus Android. How can Obama IQ be above average if Kamala can outmaneuver him? LOL.
I don't know if she's outmaneuvered him. I mean,
let me explain something on that really quickly. I don't think people know this. IQ is very different than cunning. There are a lot of people who can barely read a book. They can't test very well, but they are very, very slick. They're cunning. And I'm sure you've dealt with that, Mark. Don't
drag me into this. I mean,
you've run in like addicts and like an addict trying to get something for their habit can come up with the most creative things in the world.
Oh, yeah, it's got nothing to do with IQ. Yeah, I mean, you could be streetwise and that's different than IQ. Yeah,
and it's very different. And I would not. I do think that she is probably very cunning as an individual.
Well, I am from the school that Obama was in on it, so I don't agree with Rich on that. I think he is running the whole operation himself. So I never really bought into that idea to begin with. So,
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on it. Rustus Android. Okay, I didn't see this before, but Richard, they have all this did all this against Biden plus the last election shenanigans. Do you feel confident they could not be fortifying this election coming up? He's not here, but he has discussed it with Barnes this week. There is the margin of fraud. If it's too much of a landslide, they can't cover it.
They also, Barnes came up with a new one called the margin of bias, where the bias polling numbers are too big to be believed. That bias, whether it's intentional bias or phony bias, or copium, as you call it, sometimes it can be too large to be believable.
I think so. And it's interesting too, because
how long can you say she's up in Pennsylvania, to take one example? You just can't keep saying it before the truth catches up with you. There's just too many polling outlets.
Right. And also, I think it was Nate Cohen that they were talking about, somebody who was so, in the bag for her, and like wrote this whole article saying, oh, we undersampled it. And so it's like they're laying the groundwork to where they could pivot to the real numbers before the election. I think they're trying to potentially depend on recency bias, because right now they
could be delaying the inevitable too, Eric, just saying stall. We've got the real numbers. Let's just slow foot it. We'll slowly put it out there and just delay.
Well, right. But that's kind of what I'm saying, is that they really want her to win, doing everything possible. But then once their reputation starts to get on the line, as it gets closer to the election, they start to put out more real numbers, because they don't want, if it's too close to the election, that they're putting her numbers too high, everybody remembers that. It's recent. But if it was 3 months ago, it's like, well, no, things were really in the air back then. I don't know. But there was no shenanigans.
Well, I think Rich and I discussed that this entire industry is on the precipice of disaster. This has been a compromised industry for 10 years now, where you can buy your own polling data, and it's nobody's taking it seriously any longer. I think it's another industry that's going to disappear.
Yeah, potentially. And I feel bad for Rich, because he's very forthcoming about it.
Unless they come up with a way to through affidavits or authentication make these things real, nobody's going to pay for them anymore. Nobody's going to buy it, because it's just going to be worthless.
Yeah, or at least the public polling. I kind of feel like right now it already sort of is worthless. Like, I think the internal polling that the candidates are reading is legit. I think that because
they're doing it for themselves. That's not part of an industry.
Correct.
So that's not a public thing that could be purchased by media. I just think this industry is going to go away.
Maybe, but horoscopes are still running strong.
I don't know if that's the same, horoscopes and polling.
It's getting that way, right? It's like, okay, what do you want it to say?
Yeah,
here you go.
Yeah. Right.
So, poloscopes. Stacy Sullivan, as a New Jersey lifer, I'm seriously thinking the Irene in 2011 and the Sandy in 2012 was a "We Hate Christie" and destroy all the coastal homes. Great show. Thank you for all that.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, like I said, there's a long history of this. This is not something they invented Wednesday. They have been able to weaponize this for a while. If anybody's had the chutzpah, the balls, or the targeting ability to do this in the election, I think is new. And trying to undermine Georgia and North Carolina in a last Hail Mary attempt to save her candidacy, which is what I think is going on. This, I think, is a desperate attempt, and I don't think it's going to work.
Fair enough. And if people are interested, I have a channel called Proven Conspiracies, and on Wednesdays this week I did release a video talking about Operation Popeye, Operation Storm Fury, and HARP in a short episode. It's about 12 minutes long, if people want to check that out. Michael Schaefer with a $50 super sticker. Thank you.
Schaefer, I'm telling you, this guy is drinking the beer to have when you're having more than one. The first beer I ever drank in my life, Schaefer beer, which his family has owned. That's where he gets the $49.99. There used to be the Schaefer ice skating rink in the Woolman ice skating rink, which had the Schaefer Music Festival in Central Park, where there was no ice, but they put chairs down. It was a small ice skating rink, and you saw some of the greatest rock legends play in this ice skating rink. And people in New York know what I'm talking about. If you remember the Woolman Ice Skating Rink with the Schaefer Music Festival, it was one of the greatest music festivals in the summer, every week. Very small, tiny ice skating rink. But holy cow, sponsored by Schaefer Beer.
There you go. Well, thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
No question.
If there's any relation to Schaefer Beer, I don't know.
Boo Boo Bing Bing. Thanks for giving the People's Pundit. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great. Rich is great.
If you're here on YouTube, in the description, just click his name and it'll take you right to the channel so you can subscribe and find out more.
I mean, he's like a friend of the show. We're going to try, hopefully, if we can figure out the tech, to link him in for a few minutes on election night. That the coverage Eric and I are going to be doing down in Boca Raton. We're going to try to link into him. He's going to be home crunching his numbers, according to his wife, who's not going to let him out of the house. He's not allowed to leave, she said, because I invited them to come down. And he's got to stay in the house. So maybe we can tap into his show.
Yeah, we'll somehow coordinate.
I don't know how a toaster oven works, so you got the wrong guy. But Hunley's going to be able to figure it out.
Pablo Papano. Trump needs to defund all no-goes funding illegals and traffickers.
Right. These are NGOs.
NGOs.
A lot of NGOs he's referring to, and a
yeah.
lot of them are Catholic charities and Christian charities that I don't even know if they realize they're fronting this stuff or they're just doing it. They've been doing this for a long time, either being used by other NGOs. There may be a bunch of cutouts going all the way back to the Biden administration. But if you talk to the church that was on the ground in Springfield, Ohio, you would think that they're doing the Lord's work, bringing in these people from Africa and Haiti. They don't see it as a problem. They just see it as soul saving. And we can't have them, as much as you may respect their spiritual movement, we can't have them running immigration policy. That's not what they're on the earth to do. And they are involved in this. So the guy's right about that.
Right. No. Oh, by the way, while we're talking about disaster relief, or we were talking about it earlier in North Carolina, et cetera, it's amazing how Trump was essentially acting as the president at the time and using Elon Musk, great industrialist, at his side. Elon just put out today that the Starlink that he put out to the people will continue to be free through the rest of the year for them.
Okay, I just hope they could get to vote when you don't have a voting center. I hope they create mobile voting centers that could drive around and you could drop off your ballot, or if you're registered already, which is what I presume most people are, go there and fill it out with some legal mobile voting center. It's not a center, but a truck, that pulls in a van. Right, Eric? Or
I mean, I'm just saying, you know what?
How else?
Ballots are really good for that.
But where? Where do you go? It's all gone. The buildings are gone.
No, I know they're gone, but I'm saying you could go to the people, and a lot of them probably have their ID on them. You could just say, "Hey, do you want a ballot? Here you go. Fill it out and just have it." It could be any which way. They have mail-in ballots, right? It would just be a variant of that. So I agree. Mobile centers, whatever. If you're delivering supplies, why not? You have a witness there.
Well, we have to be a little bit more specific. I'm assuming these people are registered. I'm assuming that they didn't vote. I'm assuming they could vote early. I'm in North Carolina and Georgia. And I'm assuming that if they got an absentee ballot, they could put it somewhere. But where do you put it? Where do you get it if there's no library in town anymore, if there's no fire station in town, there's no town hall in town? How do you physically pull this? That's why I'm racking my brain at night over this last night.
There has to be some sort of a centralized location. It could even be tied in with a FEMA drop.
Well, that's why I'm thinking of these vans that would drive around to pick up the ballots or give you and then get it back. In other words, they may have to give it to you right there, have you fill it out and just take it. Okay. All right. Well, we got to get on the right page here.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Yes. Old fashioned, here you go. I'll turn my back. Whatever you want to do. Put it in the envelope, seal it. Here you go.
Right. Well, you could put a fold out table right there. that folds out of the van or is put their picnic table, and then people just fill it out and put it back in the van.
Yeah,
and the van if the van can get somewhere, then the van could drop them off theoretically.
Oh, okay. Kevin said Baris and Barnes said voting turnout is never negatively impacted by hurricanes.
Well, that's a broad statement. I heard him say that too, but nevertheless, this is a tight election, and positive and negative, it's going to either go one way or the other. It has to have some effect. It has to have some effect. It's not, I'm saying it's not going to be a positive effect, which leaves only negative. I mean, I don't know if it's equally not effective.
All right. Well, this one's near and dear to you. Will the Dodgers win tonight?
You know, Barnes asked me that, and this is all depending on the Japanese. Everything's about the Japanese tonight. We've got this guy Yamamoto going, $350 million guy, lasted 3 innings in the other game. They've got Yu Darvish going, another Japanese guy, who dominated us in the last game, used to be a Dodger. He's also a Japanese pitcher. We then have Ohtani, who's our Japanese star, who worships Yu Darvish, who was dominated by Yu Darvish in the last game. We then have a catcher for the Padres who's half white and half Japanese, who seems to have unbelievable power and looks white. We then have Dave Roberts, who's half black and half Japanese. He was born and raised in Okinawa, and every December 7th, he attacks Pearl Bailey. So we've got a lot of Japanese influence in tonight's game, and it's a pick 'em. This could go either way.
So wait a minute. Have the Japanese replaced Latin America? You know,
no. Latin America dominate. No. The Latins dominate baseball. I mean, they don't dominate, but they're about 30%. The Japanese are about 3 or 4%, 5%. But the ones that do play are usually way above average. Usually way above average. And tonight could go either way. We are at home. It's right here. The game. I'll be watching this one. But this could go either way, even though we're at home tonight. Whoever wins plays the Mets on Sunday. So we go to the League Championship Series after that.
All right.
Or the Dodgers go home. So who knows? There's no tomorrow.
Pirate Ken says, assuming Trump is elected with RFK Jr. monitoring the JFK records release, can we expect any deep state blowback to undermine the process? If so, how bad?
They're just going to try to stall for time, and that's
probably lose it, misplace it.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to just hand it, knock on the door. It's me, RFK Jr. You have the stuff. You know, I mean, I don't think they're just going to turn it over to him without a fight. I mean, that's not how they roll.
No, they'll be like, no, you need to fill out this form.
Have you filled out this form? This is it.
Yeah.
This is 8,000 pages. I don't understand. What am I supposed to do here?
And then he brings it in. It's like, not that form.
Right.
This one.
1074B. You had the A. This is 1004. Yes. Jesus Christ.
What kind of shop are you running? All right. Dustin just got back from delivering Pew Pew's packages. Glad to make this show.
That's funny.
No shit.
I mean, you could have taken a blimp and gotten it there faster in a blimp than how long it took you by the mail. Did you see, speaking of blimps, did you see Stein 99 before there was one where he was just testifying before a town hall? I don't know where it was. Yeah, I said there was one.
I think it's Dallas. I think he's always.
Was this one Dallas? This was it looked like it was somewhere else, but
well, he's regular in Dallas. It's like they all know him. And
what was I saw one recently that was very funny.
Well,
this guy's got this down to a science, man. He really. Oh, this one, Eric, please.
Hello, Mayor Moore. My name's Alex Stein. I'm here because emotionally I'm not doing well. My wife, she's been very unhappy with me lately because I have a unique opinion. I want to help Puff Daddy get out of jail. And I wrote him a little song. You guys can sing if you want. We miss you, Puff. We want you out. Don't cry and shout.
Look at her sitting there.
You should be free. Let's call Jay-Z. Puff Daddy's not a felon just because you got freaky with Ellen. Puff Daddy should be free. No, he doesn't have HIV. Puff Daddy is the best. Puff Daddy's better than the rest. Puff Daddy didn't kill Biggie. You know that is a lie. Puff Daddy would never cry. Puff Daddy is having fun. Puff Daddy is my son.
Puff Daddy is the best. Puff Daddy beats the rest. Puff Daddy is my hero. Puff Daddy's not a zero. Puff Daddy should be free. Someone please call JC. I love you, Puff. He just did a couple free calls. Him and LeBron James, whatever they did is unpaid. We should make it where felons can vote. So Puff Daddy can still vote for Kamala Harris for president of the United States of America. Getting set up. Please, Bear, if you can do anything, I love you. Thank you. Bye.
Oh my God, dude, give it up to Stein. 99 one time. Holy crap, man, this guy doesn't quit.
And by the way, if you notice that the clip is missing because the police claimed it, we'll have to check it out on Rumble or Locals, folks, on structure.locals.com, where you will find the uncut versions.
Well, don't say that. Maybe it'll survive.
Maybe it will. But I'm hoping because it was in the background and he was kind of going over it. But I'm like,
yeah. I don't know if there's any royalties to that song he just made up on his own, but who knows?
Yeah, it's we'll see. We'll see. I mean, there's the most egregious case of this. I don't know if you've heard of a YouTuber called PewDiePie.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he was testing the system and he blew like on his birthday, he like on a horn, a saxophone, very poorly played, just like blew out a rhythm, and he got copyright claimed. But for a song that he was mocking, like one 5-second bit of that song on a 30-minute show, just to prove the point, and came right in.
So dark, so dark.
Lynn Bleckstein, Gates bought huge amounts of farmland in Louisiana. Yeah.
Okay. How much farmland is in Louisiana? I mean, it's a lot.
Quite a bit.
A lot of swampland. Dude, keep in mind, Lana Del Rey lives down there now with the alligator man down there.
So Mark is very focused on Louisiana.
Focused on Louisiana, what you can get, because I'm thinking of somehow getting near that area somehow to see what's going on with that marriage, hoping for the best.
Mike A, between you and Mark, which one of you would buy one of Elon's new robots first to cut the grass and do the dishes? Well, there's already robot lawnmowers. I don't know.
Yeah. And the dishes got a dishwasher, so I don't know if you need that, but sex robots, I'd be the first one. If you can get this Megan Fox movie, which I strongly recommend people watch. It's on Prime, where she is not a sex robot, but she shows up as a robot to this family. Maybe I didn't see the movie yet. I'm going to watch it tomorrow night, but I'm going to watch Twisters tonight. I think the new Twister movie. In the spirit of hurricane season, I'm going to watch Twisters, which is the sequel to Twister, I think.
Right, or I don't know if it's a sequel or kind of like a reimagining or something, or I don't know.
Well, one is called Twister and the other is Twisters.
Yeah, I saw the preview for it. And it looks like,
everybody likes it. Yeah, it made a lot of money. Unlike Long Legs, which stars Nicolas Cage as this satanic. I don't even know what's going on in this movie, but I think there's going to be a Long Legs too, because there's more plot holes than you could drive Satan through in this movie. But Nicolas Cage is so insanely entertaining. And he's not around long in the movie, so it's too bad.
Well, maybe our Lex Friedman can interview him.
Lex Friedman should interview Nicolas Cage as Long Legs in character. Because, dude, there's just every single DEI beat is in this movie. Every single beat that you could possibly squeeze into a film, casting, plot, everything is in this movie.
Wow. Jenny's getting inky with it. Exclusionary on, Twitter, I guess it's Bird. Shared a post about TT Tim in the last hour of someone replying to one of Tim's posts, making some very detailed allegations. I think that might be the one I saw, or the person I saw. My ears and eyes are open. We may be talking about on Tuesday.
That's why we need the extra news day, because otherwise we'd have to wait a week and the news would be so old that people can crush it up and snort it.
True. Steve McMahon, Ed's son, wants to know, Mark, have you tried to set up an interview with Ruth Payne? What did she say about it?
No. What I'm going to set up is a seance after she passes away. We're going to do like a seance, Hunley and I, and talk to her in the afterlife, which will be funny. Obviously, a mockery of a sham of a mockery, but I think it would be fun to have a seance once she passes on.
a mockery of a sham of a mockery.
Right, to quote Woody Allen, out of Bananas.
Okay, I thought I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, that's out of Bananas.
Very cool. Okay, well, let me see here. Okay, I need to check Rumble because
what's going on at Rumble? Nobody goes over there anymore. What's going on there?
Well, that's not true. We have almost 1,000 people watching us on Rumble right now.
Oh my God! Where do they live? They live in Rumble Village. Where do they hang out?
They live in Rumble Village, but here's the wild one. There's also over 3,000 people watching on X.
Do we get any money out of that, or they just watch it for free?
They just watch it for free, but then they watch YouTube for free. And who knows?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know, I paid for this special membership on X. I don't know, what do I get out of it if I pay the to become a member of the thing? What am I supposed to get? I don't see any benefits.
More reach,
I guess. I mean, that they don't really say that. They imply that.
Supposedly, I mean, I pay for it. At least I use Grok. I like Grok. So
I don't use any of this crap. All I know is I have the same amount of users I had before I became a member, or followers rather.
Well,
I think
that's it. Maybe
there's shadow banning over there, and there's. I mean, our subscriber numbers have not changed in 17 years, Eric. Maybe if you put up that logo, maybe it'll change the numbers. But I don't think we've been at 16.2. Where are we now? 16.2 or something?
16 something. It's depressing.
It hasn't moved in decades.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we hit 100,000. I think last October 5th.
Yeah.
I think that was the date. And
we've gotten 16,000.
No, we're up to 16,560.
Right. We've gotten that in a year since getting 100. Now, it's mathematically impossible.
Oof, that's not a good number. Hey, somebody subscribe now because it's saying that we've gained 666 in the last 30 days.
It's insane.
But we need to move that number.
It's insane. Out of Satan's realm. Yeah. Well, Satan's involved in long legs.
We do not want to talk to.
I don't believe any of these bullshit numbers. I think they got their foot on our neck, and I think it's going to change once the election is over. I just got a hunch they're not going to be this brazen, But you still have to subscribe if you hear the bell of Satan or just the bell of justice. Oh, it goes both sides. Oh, look at that. That's kind of nice. Wow. Alert, alert, alert. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Well, eventually we might get to 100.
I don't know where we're going to get to.
17,000.
No, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They have no explanation for it. They go, well, some growth is slow, you boys. Stick around for another 50 years. Maybe you'll get to 200,000. We know you got to 100 pretty quickly, but then, people didn't care anymore. We've done surveys and they just said, we don't really want to subscribe to that channel. I know we went crazy the first year or two, but now we don't care. We're not going to subscribe. And you guys will have to accept that as an algorithmic belief.
Sad but true. But you know what? We're here for you. We're here for all of you who have subscribed.
It is what it is. There's nothing we could do about it. So,
and you know what I mentioned Rumble. If you're watching on Rumble right now, 1,000 people watching, you can always follow us on Rumble. Happy to have you. David,
you can also subscribe to Locals. I know it wouldn't kill you, but I mean, you could become a member and get all the secret benefits of Locals for not 70 a week, not 70 a month, as some Locals have, 70 for the whole year. Now think about a year. What is 70 divided by 12? What is that like?
It's like $5.60.
It's like $5, $6. All right, it's like $6.
I don't know the exact, but it's right in there.
Just think about $6 or $5 a month, because that's what we're talking about. That would end this whole thing where we're dependent upon YouTube, these scumbags, and we could be more dependent on Locals and be with paid members only. Think about that, because I know times are hard, but 70 a year is not completely out of reach.
True, and we do appreciate it. It does make a difference. It really
no
does.
Kidding.
David Wavid 72 from Rumble though with a $5 Rumble rant, and these all count too. Hello from inside the Reno, Nevada Trump rally. Hey.
Wow, right on.
That's fantastic.
Right on. Hello, people there in Reno. Well, I guess he's gone from Reno. He's working his way west. He'll be in Trumpcella tomorrow, Coachella.
Fantastic. And
It's going to be triple
12.
100. It's going to be 101 tomorrow. So, I mean, he's got an older crowd. This could end up being, they're going to have a lot of those cooling tents and water, hosing them down. I mean, if you start hosing down some 70-year-old people, it could get ugly.
Yeah, well, they've actually done some stuff on that, and how there is a lot of the Trump audience who are older, and these people are going out there for hours and hours. I
right, but you don't want to see a wet T-shirt on a 70-year-old woman.
No, not most of them.
Okay, well, that's when you go to Coachella, the actual concert, that happens a lot, but it's a younger crowd.
I was going to say not 70-year-old.
No, you go to Burning Man, and it's a younger crowd. Burning Man, you get everything, but
I think in Burning Man you might see both younger and older, right?
Yeah, Burning Man's really creepy.
All right, Amdrum 12 said, "Enjoy you guys," and now my wife is a supporter. Thinking about joining you for the election. Driving down from Georgia. Awesome.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about, because you could how long does it take from Georgia to Florida? Is that like 8 hours?
I don't know, but I'll find out.
Okay, because you can theoretically vote and then go to the event, which, you know, and get there by 5:30. I mean, for the live event. We'll keep your dinner on the side on a tray with your name on it and in a hot box. And you can roll in with if you come with a voting sticker that you voted that day, I'll buy you a drink as soon as you get there.
No, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So you get if we win a battleground state, everyone gets a drink for it. Look, I can only get burned 7 times, right? The 7 battleground states. If he runs the table, I'm going to buy drinks for 7, everybody 7 times. Hopefully. I mean, I'm hoping that freaking happens.
Let me just help out a little bit, folks. You do know that Mark has a PayPal inside the description, and he may need that because Mark's
I may go broke on this.
I'm not.
I may go broke on this goddamn thing.
So if you wanted to PayPal Mark for books or booze for the people,
I may need some Elon Musk support on this economically. I may be overestimating what I'm getting myself into here with these battleground states. And by the way, thanks for the Nixon books. We're going to be rolling into Charles Colson next, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. Charles Colson, who wrote a book thanks to the Nixon book people, and I ordered this week. I've listened to it on audio tape, but I wanted to get the physical book called Born Again, and it covers the situation in the White House and Watergate from Colson's perspective. He then creates these prison ministries where he's got a lot of books as a born-again Christian, but the Born Again book itself was his first one out of prison, and that covers the hiring of Hunt and his perspective on Watergate. So he's going to be a fascinating subject the following Tuesday in the Watergate series.
Definitely. Alex Davidu with $50 Canadian. Thank you. Yesterday, I got some retroactive pay. I immediately thought to give you guys some. Keep up the greatness.
I thought it said radioactive pay, and I'm going like, what is it? They pay him in uranium or something up there? Like, what the hell's going on?
Well, he's missing an R, but I think it's retroactive.
Okay. Now, lithium, which is apparently in the North Carolina hills with quartz. Is this true? I mean, the Chinese really want lithium too, Eric.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to sound conspiratorial.
Everybody wants lithium. I think
including Elon Musk.
Right. Well, China has one of the biggest lithium mines in the world. So I don't think that they're out of it. Another place that, from my understanding, has a ton of lithium, I think, is Afghanistan. I think they have a ton of it there. And,
what about quartz? Quartz is for batteries also, Eric?
Quartz, like quartz crystals and watches. And I think that's on circuit boards. It's a pretty valuable material in electronics. So, sure. Wow. All right. Dustin is heading down. Mark, start saving up.
Oh my God. I didn't say multiple drinks. You get 1 round, Dustin, for every battleground. Well, it could be 7 for you. So yeah, I better start saving up. Who knows?
It could be. Wow. Oh,
well, we are having a cash bar there, and apparently there's some breakpoints. the more they spend at the bar, the less it's going to cost us, according to the deal we made.
Oh, good.
So drink up, drink up on your own, because the more you drink, the less we pay for the bar.
All right, fantastic. And for now, we've just talked about it 3 times on this episode.
What?
We're going to head over to locals.
Oh, okay.
And you guys can see we continue the show, have a bit of after party time, hang out, talk a little bit about other things, and we can use words on locals, the Hemingway words that aren't publicly available.
Well, we'll talk about the new
YouTube.
Dylan movie with Timothy Chalamet that's coming out Christmas Day over on Locals. Got some inside stuff we'll talk about over there.
All right. That sounds good. I don't know.
You have any other super chats or any of your friends over there super chatting or anything out of Rumble universe?
I'll check Rumble one more time, but
before you leave the planet YouTube.
Before I leave the planet
YouTube.
Nope. We're all cleared up, and everybody, thank you very much for the support. In all seriousness, we gripe about YouTube, we gripe about that, but you guys have been wonderful, supporting us on Locals, and we really do deeply appreciate it. And you don't have to pay. You could always just subscribe, tell a friend, hit the like button. It all really does help a lot. Very, very much. And we are going to head over